Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your willingness to take on the task and for our discussion the other day. I want to follow up a little bit on the same line of questioning that Senator Moore Capital brought up, but I want to speak specifically to a different rulemaking process, and that is the greenhouse gas emissions performance measure notice of proposed new rulemaking, and how I believe that directly contradicts the bipartisan bill as well, the infrastructure bill. You know, I come from, as you know, a rural state, North Dakota. We have a lot more miles of highway than we have people, but we're rather proud of the fact that we grow a lot of, and take very seriously that we grow a lot of commodities, food commodities to feed a hungry world. That big world that's hungry is far from North Dakota. We grow a lot of energy for a growing national economy and a global economy. We used to do a lot more of it, but we'd like to do it again. And so this vast system of highways that we manage is very important, and it's very, very rural. And I'm going to focus on rural for a minute. And I think that the regulations that come out of the Federal Highway Administration need to reflect that not every place is New York, not every place has a coast, but the coast has fierce advocates, and the mountains have fierce advocates, and so do the prairies of the Midwest. And so I think everybody's just a little bit different, and I think the rules have to reflect that. But in the proposed rule that I'm talking about, the greenhouse gas emissions reduction rule, it indicates that DOTs, one of the things it indicates is DOTs can replace cars and trucks with a transit system. Well, we don't have the type of population densities in North Dakota that's even plausible or possible, much less should be part of any rule. I think getting back to flexibility is really, really critical. And I want to highlight that we reached a consensus in this country, and we agreed that there's a need to streamline regulatory review. And the one agency decision rule that we've talked about already was part of the bill. We codified that in the bill. Now, we discussed other things that didn't become part of the bill. And one of my frustrations as we're having a debate in the Senate right now over permitting reform is that it seems that the bureaucracy requires, and I think coming from states like you have, and by the way, the fact that Senator Hickenlooper vouches for you is good, but the fact that former Governor Hickenlooper vouches for you is even better, okay? And he's like all these former governors, you know, that are in the Senate. We have lots of them. They bring a level of common sense that's not as common as it ought to be around here. But anyway, that said, I even lost my train of thought there for a minute. But that said, I guess I just would like to get your input on sort of that overriding issue. And what I worry about with the bureaucracy is that when we come up with permitting reforms and we try to legislate them, what I've noticed is that unless we tell the bureaucracy exactly what they are required to do, and furthermore tell them exactly what they're prohibited from doing, they'll do whatever they want to do. So please help me be reassured that you're going to advocate for states and for states' rights.
Well, thank you, Senator. And as I mentioned, you don't have a coast, but Devil's Lake is a place I visited a couple of times. I think that you touched on a few things in our meeting and in that question, and all I can say is I understand that for in Colorado, as an example, the transportation solutions that made sense in the Denver metro area were not what we were discussing out in the Eastern Plains or in other more rural parts of the state. And my commitment is that I think the best solutions are the ones that are brought forth from the states and make sense in that it's not a one size fits all. It's what that local decision makes sense. And on the permitting side, I think as I had spoken to earlier, I think it is just so critical from a safety perspective, from a cost effectiveness, that we get these projects delivered on time and on budget. And that would be my commitment.
Well, and I appreciate it. Senator Hickenlooper's quoting of the Denver Post, that you're a fierce advocate for innovation is hopeful. Because I do believe that there are innovations that can allow us to do more quicker, efficiently, without compromising the integrity of our, of our care for the environment and the tax dollars. So with that, I look forward to the second round. Thank you.